Hello, everybody. You are looking at the brand new 2017 Hot Wheels Nissan GT-R R35. It is new for 2017, hitting stores with the N case in the coming weeks, and this will be one that I imagine many of you will be seeking out when it hits, and for good reason, because it is a beautiful model. But it is the latest of several Nissan GT-Rs released by Hot Wheels. This is a new casting because it's the 2017 GT-R compared to the previous generation R35. So we're going to do a deep dive into the previous generation and cap it off with this beauty that has just come out. So why don't we remove this one and let's walk through the previous releases. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 releases with a couple of wheel variations, which we will get into. But this is the first Nissan GT-R released by Hot Wheels. I believe this was 2009 that this one came out in white with kind of a graphite colored 10-spoke wheel. Nissan likes to get those tail lights tampoed because they're such a signature, especially with the Skylines and the Skyline Legacy. That signature double round tail light is important. So it was nice to see the GT-R released with tail lights and then headlights because they're used as the window piece. So this was the debut. Now we're going to compare the two castings, but let me walk through what has already been released so far. So that is the first version in white. It also later showed up with, let me straighten that out, chrome 10-spoke wheels. So those of you that are completists and you want to go back, if you don't have these already, you need to find the first release with both style wheels, just in those colors. Everything else was the same as far as I can tell. And then it was recolored the same year in red, also with the chrome 10 spokes. In fact, well, not every release has been the 10 spokes, but a lot of them have. The next year, after the red, it showed up in silver. Actually, that might be the same year. I should have probably looked into that. You guys can let me know. But that is I think there might have been 3 colors of the GT-R released. You can see all the details on the back continue to show up. Even the GT-R logo there. So this was silver with chrome wheels. Several people found this with pink windows and like to look at that as a variation. I guess it's just in the process of making the windows. The next year or the year after, it was released in black, this time with the J5 wheels. Some people don't like the J5 wheels. I don't mind them, especially when they look as good as they do here. They are appropriate, I think. Slightly concave, and I think it works for a model like the GT-R. So I really like this version in black. Now, if you were really lucky back in that time, this would have been 2010, 2011, and you went to your local Walmart or Target and you were looking at the 10 packs, there was a chance you'd see this model. You would definitely see this black version in those cases. But if you were really lucky, you found it with the 10-spoke wheels. So this is maybe the rarest of the GT-R variations. The black with 10 spokes. It was only found in 10 packs, and as far as I know, not very many. I only know of 2 or 3 that were found. This one I actually made a trade for back in the day because I'm a fan of the GT-R. You can just so I'm not going to try and balance them, but J5 wheel, 10 spoke wheel. Hopefully you can see the difference there. Now, some of you don't care about variations, and that's totally cool. I can see why you wouldn't. It's still the same car, just slightly different wheel, but that was one I traded for, and I'm happy I have. The black GT-Rs continued into the Speed Machines line. Now, we've talked, when I did the video on the McLaren F1 GT-R, we talked about its debut in Speed Machines. And here we go again. Now, this looks a lot like the previous black version. There it is again. But notice the added detail on the sides. Not much on the front. You would have thought they may have put the GT-R badge on the front, but they didn't. But the door handles, there's a little bit more detail in the rear, in the tail lights. And then, of course, it has what I think is the best wheel for cars like this, but Hot Wheels doesn't make them anymore. The co-mold wheel in this one in particular is gray with a chrome lip. And you can just see it has the perfect kind of the way they sit deep enough, but the spokes look very modern. And Hot Wheels hasn't been able to replicate this wheel in a Real Rider. I would just say put Real Rider tires on that and use that same rim. I don't know why they... Now, maybe that's something as we talk about. Because wouldn't you love to see some of your sports cars with that wheel today? They just don't have that as many good options. So they released it in black in the Speed Machines line and also in, oh, we've seen that color before, burnt orange. And you can see all the detail. Top two, and then even on the rear spoiler, they did the spoiler in black. These Speed Machines models are tough to get. Again, back in the day, they hung. You could get them anywhere. And they hung on the pegs, but now, especially these GTRs, you're going to have to pay a few dollars to get them. So those of us that were collecting back then and actually held on to these, I guess we are lucky, and I feel lucky that I have it. But how cool is that? And there it is, the co-mold wheels again, this time in black with a gray lip. So 2 Speed Machines, then we saw it 2 more times. This gray with the dark 10-spoke wheels was actually in the debut, the very first Fast and Furious Walmart line, the 8-car line that they do. This one was in there, and we didn't ever see it. They've repeated several castings since, not this one. So this was from the premier Fast and Furious line, very similar to a main line. Obviously, the rear details, no side details. Hood details are there. And then, of course, the red taillights. But a nice version. At the time, again, that wasn't the most popular one, but people want it now. And the last time this GT-R casting was released was last year in the Hot Wheels Entertainment Gran Turismo set. This one has a cool Gran Turismo livery, but take a look at those wheels. They're okay, but compare them to this. Wouldn't you just love to see those rubber tires put on these wheels, and how different would this model look with those? That's my thought. You guys can obviously disagree with me and let me know what you think. But maybe we should just start a whole movement to try and get these co-mold wheels turned into Real Riders. I would love that. But that is this is the Gran Turismo version, and that's the last time we've seen this. But that was last year. It had been a while since we'd seen the GT-R casting. But let me be honest with you now. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put this burnt orange Speed Machines on here. I think this casting can go ahead and be retired, because now that you have the 2017, it's not necessarily that I think the 2017 GT-R, the actual 2017 GT-R, is better. But in Hot Wheels form, you better believe it is. Check that one out. Check where it sits, how it sits, where the wheels sit, compared to that one. You have got a total difference. Now, back in the day, Hot Wheels was more concerned about the track access, or the way that these track compatibility with these cars. So you have a slight upslope in the chin compared to the 2017. Rio Asada, who designed this, gave it a much lower profile. And I think with the GT-R, it just looks that much sportier. Now, there's not enough differences in the actual GT-R. The same silhouette is essentially there. Do I even try and do this? But you can kind of see how that stance of the new GT-R just really takes it to another level. I think that the 2017 GT-R is so good from Hot Wheels that I would totally compare it. I'd put it up against the Tomica Limited Vintage version. I love Tomica Limited Vintage. But looking at their GT-R, and I'll even take it off the platform. Again, it sits too high. The tires are a little too thick. The tread a little too exaggerated. I think, even with all the detail that the Tomica Limited Vintage has, and I feel like I'm being blasphemous considering how much I love Tomica Limited Vintage, this is a $25 model. This is a $1 model, and I think it captures it better. So please, everyone, forgive me for that. I feel dirty saying that, but oh my goodness, this is awesome. Rio Asada designed it, did a tremendous job, and I honestly will put this up. This might be the best model of 2017. Just perfect. Couple things to look for. Make sure that grill is straight. I've heard of a few showing up with crooked grills, and all the detail that you want with that Nissan GT-R, that signature Nissan grill, you want to make sure that it's straight. So look for that when you're buying the car. And then, yeah, other than that, I think this one is just about perfect. Okay, sorry, bumping. That is your 2017 Hot Wheels Nissan GT-R showcase along with the other GT-Rs. Tell me what you think. We got more showcases coming. Bye.